They call me Jenny. And what I'm about to share isn't just a story. It's a warning. Ready? Let's begin. Some nightmares begin with silence. Not darkness. Not monsters. Just silence. Right before the screaming starts. That night, I learned there are voices that don't come from outside. They wait until you're inside. Until you're alone. Until you're sure you're safe. Then they begin. And once they start, they don't stop. The apartment smelled like old wood, bleach and cigarette smoke. One of those creaky airbums in a bad part of town where the hallway hums with broken light fixtures and doors you don't want to knock on. Pam and I had just gotten back from the concert, ears ringing, bones rattled, voices hoarse from screaming along with the band. That was the loudest one yet, I muttered, stretching out on the bed. Pam laughed. We're too old for this crap. Next time, earplugs. We talked ourselves into a hazy half-sleep. Then, the scream shattered it. Help me, please. It was faint, but sharp enough to slice through the quiet like broken glass. I jolted upright. My pulse kicked into a sprint. Did you hear that? I whispered. Pam rolled toward me, still half asleep. Huh. I think someone just screamed for help. She sat up listening. It's probably someone on the street. This area's sketchy, remember? I nodded, but the voice didn't sound drunk. It sounded terrified. We sat in the silence, both trying to dismiss it. Then, yelp. Louder. Closer. Not from the street. Not outside. Somewhere. Inside the building. Pam stiffened. Okay, that was in here. My skin prickled. I tried to stay calm. Maybe someone's in trouble. Or high. Or crazy. I've heard worse back home, she said. But her voice was thinner now. Uncertain. We both knew. That wasn't just someone being loud. It was real fear. Silence crept back in. But it wasn't comforting anymore. Just the building breathing. Wood cracking, water pipes whining behind the walls. I was starting to relax again when I heard it. Not a scream this time. A whisper. Here. Barely audible. But inside my head, it boomed. Like it was whispered straight into my skull with a megaphone. And it wasn't coming from the hallway. It was in our room. I froze. Did you hear that? I croaked. Pam didn't respond, but I felt her shift beside me. I reached for the wall switch. Click, click, click. Nothing. No light. Of course. I fumbled for my phone, knocking over everything on the nightstand. Water spilled. My Kindle hit the floor. Where the hell was it? Then, another whisper. Help me. 10 feet away. From the kitchenette corner. Someone was in here with us. I found my phone. Hands shaking. Flashlight on. The beam swept across the room. Then stopped. A shadow stood in the corner. Tall. Slouched. Not reflecting light. Absorbing it. My throat closed up. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't blink. I was prey and it knew. The thing began to move. Slow, deliberate steps. Like it had all the time in the world. I turned to Pam. My lifeline. My sanity. But what I saw, she sat upright, stiff, facing away from me. But her head was twisted completely around. Eyes wide. But they weren't her eyes. Just blank, milky white orbs. Like glass soaked in bleach. Then her jaw began to unhinge. Slowly. Further. And further. Until her mouth gaped into a black, gaping void. A tunnel into nothingness. And that's when the lights went out. Completely. I don't know what happened after that. Only the darkness. And the feeling of something brushing my skin. Cold and wet like moss-covered hands. I must have blacked out. Because the next time I opened my eyes, it was morning. Sunlight spilled in through the cracked blinds. Cars passed by outside. Normal sounds. Normal smells. Everything felt real again. I sat up dizzy. My throat burned like I gargled razor blades. Pam sat on the edge of the bed, brushing her hair. Back to me. My hair's such a mess, she said lightly. You were talking in your sleep all night. Bad dreams. Yeah, I muttered. Really bad. She laughed. You kept saying help me. Over and over. Then she paused. The weird thing is, she turned to face me, and her eyes were white. Still white. Just like they were in the dark. Pam smiled. But it wasn't hers. It didn't belong to her anymore. I wasn't asleep either, she said, voice warped, like a broken radio. I stared, frozen again, heart pounding. The room began to dim. The air thickened like the oxygen was leaking out. And then, from somewhere behind me, right next to my ear, a whisper, "You're next." Some screams come from outside, some from down the hall. But the ones that live in your room, they stay. They watch. They wait until you forget. Until the next concert. Until the next night. Until you're alone. They start screaming again. From inside. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling horror tales. Your support keeps the darkness alive.